Hello AWS friends. In this short session, let's have a look on the basic infrastructure, especially the VPC on your AWS account, which is going to be important when we're going to launch EC2 instances or Elastic Container Service or other services. Before we start, we're going to switch to VPC. I'm here in the region Tokyo, which I normally don't use, and so this account is pretty much empty here, and it's good to get an overview what is the default setup in your region and in your account. So before we have a look on here, one more information: you can get all these files I'm using in this tutorial in my GitHub account. Here's also a useful link of the AWS documentation. And before we start, let's have a look in this AWS site on here, and here's a good diagram to get an overview what is this setup we're going to talk about. So we are in a region in Tokyo right now, and inside that region we have this default VPC. On this diagram we have two subnets, but we have actually three subnets. And we have only public subnets. We have a internet gateway, we have a root table, and that's the basic setup, and we're gonna have a look in detail here in the AWS console. So as you can see, we already have a VPC. We have three subnets. We have a root table, internet gateway, we have a security group, which is important for any EC2 instance we're gonna launch, and we have a network ACL, which is a little bit similar to a security group, where you can define the access to your instances. I would strongly recommend you create your own VPC and your own infrastructure resources, for example with CloudFormation, because that way it's much easier to migrate your resources, for example from one region to another region, or from a dev account to a prod account, and you can be sure everything is gonna work after the migration. So let's have a look on CloudFormation. I'm not gonna deep dive into CloudFormation in this tutorial. I have another session for this, but let's create a VPC with a CloudFormation stack. I'm gonna switch the region. I'm gonna use Singapore, not because I don't want to mix up my default VPC in Tokyo with this CloudFormation VPC I'm going to create, and I have a CloudFormation stack which is in my GitHub account, and you can use this file. So let's create a stack. Let's pick up my VPC YAML file and press next. I have to enter a stack name, and I'm gonna keep this parameters on default. As you can see, you can change here the subnet mask for your public and for your private subnets, and as you can see also I'm creating three public subnets and three private subnets. I would, for example, launch my EC2 instances or Elastic Container Service machines in the private subnets, not on the public, and only place a net, for example, in the public subnet. So let's create it. It's created in progress, as you can see, and we can have a look in Singapore on the VPC. There's already also the default VPC, of course, but as you can see right now we already have two VPCs. We already have these ACLs created, security groups, subnet not yet. So let's have a look in detail. Here is my CloudFormation VPC. It's available already. Take a look on the subnets, yes, and also as you can see we have 6 more subnets, and other resources are being created right now. So that's pretty cool stuff there with CloudFormation. And let's go back and switch to CloudFormation. Have a look. Yeah, it's still in progress. So we're going to have a look on this later on when it's being created completely, and continue here in Tokyo with my default VPC. So as you can see, we have some resources. Let's have a look on it. We have a default VPC, your virtual private cloud, your network. We have 3 default subnets, and they have about 4,000 IP addresses ready for in each subnet. But this is anything you can configure. We have a route table. We have an internet gateway. We have a network access list. And the most important thing we're gonna focus now is a security group. A security group controls the access to your EC2 instances, similar to this ACL, and it's defined by inbound and outbound rules. And as you can see in here, this default security group is gonna allow any traffic to your EC2 instances. So it might be a good idea creating your own security group and limit the access a little bit. So I'm creating my own security group, and as you can see here, by now it don't have any inbound rules. Outbound rules for sure they're required, but now let's define our own inbound rules. We wanna allow HTTP access. Oops. We want to allow HTTPS. And finally, we want to allow SSH, so we can connect to our EC2 instances. So that's it. Right now we have created a own security group. Maybe we can change the name, security group, and we're gonna reuse this security group later on when we create EC2 instances or other instances based on these. You can also create your security group at any other resource with CloudFormation, and I have also a stack in my project in here which you can use. So by the way, CloudFormation, let's have a look in our Sydney region, and as you can see on here, the VPC is ready. It has been created, and let's have a look. So now you can see it created one more security group, one more network, ACL, internet gateway. We have more route tables in here, and we have these 6 more subnets. And one more good thing about CloudFormation is you not only can create these resources, but you can also clean it up pretty much easy. And I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna delete this stack, and by deleting the stack, every resource defined inside is going to be deleted, and that way you be sure you won't forget any of these resources. So let's go back. We created a security group which we're going to use when we launch EC2 instances, and there's one more thing in your account which you should definitely have a look on, And what you're gonna need when launching EC2 instances is a key pair. So I'm in my Tokyo region again, and I already have here a key pair, but let's try to create one if you don't have any by now. So just enter a name and that's it. And another thing you have to, of course, you have to save this file on your machine, and you might do one thing. You might have to change the permissions on this file, so that's the file name, and you can be sure to, when you SSH into your machine, it's gonna work. So that's it for now. We have created our own security group, our own key pair, and now we are ready to launch EC2 instances and Elastic Container Service. So thanks for listening, and see you on the next level.